coming on a field trip. So today we're going to start our lesson by reviewing and remembering the 5 W's. We've been learning about them all week, so let's start by saying them all together. We'll follow my hand and do the ones that we already learned. Ready?
What?
Where?
Who?
Why? And we have one more to learn today, and that is?
When?
When. Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to move on, and we want to remember that when we're learning all the who, what, where, why, when, we want to remember why we're doing so. So, Miss A, can you tell us why we're doing this?
So throughout the week, we've talked about that the main goal in learning our 5 W's is to be able to, by the end, understand the summary and the main idea of the story. Can everyone read it with me as I go over the goal?
To be able to summarize and understand the main ideas of a story.
So before we continue, we're going to go over the anchor chart that we've made throughout the week. And you can see that we added when to our anchor chart. So before we go down to our signal words, let's talk about the visuals that we can picture in our heads when we're looking for the 5 W's. So for who, we're thinking who's involved. So we think about the people. And for what, we think what happened. And we put a dictionary last week to remember that we usually look in a dictionary to look what things are. And where did it happen? We had our nice city skyline to think about where. Why, we have our magnifying glass, because when we look through a magnifying glass, we look, then we're investigative. And when, we added the clock, because we're thinking when did it happen. So remember to visualize those pictures when we're looking throughout the story. So now our signal words, we stressed were really important. So can everyone read with me who, what words we look for to figure out what the who is in the story?
So let's read these ones that are important in finding who. We have first, we have people.
People. They, he, she, her, him.
And the last one?
Animals.
Animals, because we can also have animals. Even though they're not people like us, we can have characters in the story that are animals too.
Okay, so now what? Usually when we're looking at what a character is doing or an animal in the story, it's always an action word or some sort. So remember to look for those action words. Like running, jogging, we all know are action words. And now where? We always make sure to look for places or locations. Why? We're going to find words like because, reason, purpose, and now we're on to when.
Okay, so we all have these down pat, our signal words for finding others. We saved when for last because sometimes this one can be a little bit tricky. There's a little bit two types of when we're looking at a story. Sometimes we can be looking at a time period, so we can be looking at something that's in, does anyone know what a time period is? Some signal words that we can be thinking of? Megan?
Like in the past.
In the past. So if the past is what's now? If I'm teaching right now, what do we want to say like that is? Today. Anyone? Present. Perfect. And then we have one more, future. Thanks, Kira. Okay, so we want to make sure we know the difference between the two. So, you want to go over the time?
So we'll show you guys what we put.
So the time period, like we just said, we have the past, present, and future. We can use words like this. So when we read a story, like we've read fairy tales, we see once upon a time, and that means what? When we're to say once upon a time, what do we think it is?
The past.
The past, a story too. No, definitely, that was a great answer. And then we can also use words like yesterday, last week. And if we're talking about today, we mean the present, and tomorrow is the
Future.
Great job. And now we'll move on to the next one.
Okay, so for the next one, it's important to remember the time of day. That's also another type of when. So when we say time of day, does anybody know what we're referring to? Megan?
Morning.
Yeah, morning, and what else? Now.
Nighttime.
Yes, perfect. Anyone else?
Afternoon.
Perfect, okay. So also, before I show you what we put, does anyone know another kind of time of day? So if we're saying something happened at a certain time.
Midnight.
Yeah, have is morning, afternoon, evening, night, and our time, so 12 a.m. to 12 p.m., which it would be a specific hour.
My daddy doesn't talk to me like that. He says I have to come home at 1500 hours.
You also can use time like that. Some people learn time in different ways, so we can learn 12 a.m. like 12 p.m., but that's just a different way of saying the same hour. You just learned a different way, but it means the same thing.
Oh, okay. Because like everywhere else in the world they use it, but in the United States. Just a little FYI.
When we learn about the world, we'll go through the different
Travel
times.
live as a kid.
Okay, so we're gonna give you 2 examples of the time period, okay, to show you guys and make it easier in the text when we do it together. So, this, hey, can you read the first sentence?
Yeah.
Up here.
So, once upon a time, a boy named Jimmy woke up every morning to go fishing with his grandfather.
Okay, so do we see, I don't wanna be in the way. Do we see any words in this sentence that mean a time period in general? So, keyword, do we see anything that's for a time period?
I think once upon a time,
Once upon a time.
because I know on my signal chart,
Oh,
once upon a time means the past.
Okay. Well, we get the picture. Once upon a time, we're gonna circle once upon a time because, like Miss A said, she said that it's like the past. So we know, since we're circling it, we are talking about a time period. So, do you see anything else in the sentence that is a specific time period?
I see morning, and it helps me know when it took place in the time of day.
Okay, so that's for our second one, time of day. So this is a different one, and we're gonna underline it because every morning is talking about the specific time of day. So, in these 2 sentences, we may have 2 times. We circled the first one, once upon a time, meaning the time period, so we're talking about the past, but also we have a time of day. Even though it was one, okay. Change your own there.
You might have to put them
Yeah.
There we go. So even though we're talking about once upon a time, as in the past, Jimmy still woke up every morning, once upon a time, to go fishing with his grandfather. So he did this every single morning. Morning is telling us when, the time of day.
So now, Miss Klein, can you read the second sentence for me?
Today, Jimmy and his grandfather have plans to go fishing at 1 o'clock p.m.
Okay, so now in that sentence, is there any signal words that help you identify the time period? And we're gonna circle the time period.
Well, I see the word today, so that shows me that it's in the present.
Perfect, and how'd you figure that out?
Because I know today means today, so that's happening right now,
Okay.
meaning the present.
Okay, and what signal word did you use to find out?
Well, I also see at the end of the sentence, it says at 1 o'clock p.m., so that's showing me that it's happening at 1. So it's still in the present, but Jimmy's going fishing with his grandfather at 1 p.m.
Okay, and we're gonna underline that because we circle time period and underline time and day. Also remember that this isn't going to always be the case. Sometimes there'll be one, when in terms of time period or time of day, but sometimes there'll be both, and it's important to recognize both of them.
And we'll see that in the next sentences. So, does anyone have any questions before we move on and we can practice it together? No? Alright, let's try it together.
Okay, so while Ms. Klein's erasing the board, so for us to do it together, you can see how we did before, just modeled exactly how we did it together by looking in the text and looking at signal words. So now also looking at pictures in our storybooks can also be helpful that tell us what the words are. So we're able to tell maybe the time of day based on if it looks like the morning, if it looks like the night. So let's go ahead. Can I have a volunteer to read the first page from Cinderella? You can read it, Megan.
Once upon a time, there was a pretty girl whose mother died.
Great. So, does anyone see anyone in this sentence, anything in this sentence that either shows you the time period or the time of day? Yes.
Once upon a time.
You see once upon a time. So, can you tell me, do you think that's the time period or do you think it's the time of day?
Time period.
Time period, and do we know when specifically?
The past.
The past, great. So we're gonna circle this, just like we did in the last one, if we can. Because we're circling for the time period and we're underlining for the time of the day. So, do we see anything else in this sentence that might show us, or do we only see that? Does anyone else have any other ideas, or do we think it might be done?
It looks like she's waking up in the morning.
It does look like she's waking up in the morning.
That's a really good observation. So that shows how we can look at the pictures as well as the text and signal words to help us figure things like this out.
Great job, Kira. Okay, so can we have another volunteer to read the next sentence? Abby?
At midnight, Cinderella ran home. She left behind a gold shoe.
Great. So, do we see anything in this sentence that might be the time period or the time of day?
Time of day, at midnight,
You see at midnight?
So what would we do? Would we underline or circle it?
underline it.
Great.
And also, if you didn't even read, you could look at the pictures, like I said, and you see that it's nighttime. Yes.
Well, I'm also thinking, like, I'm looking at the picture and I see that dress, and I don't see anyone who ever dresses like that. Like, she looks like she's wearing like olden day clothes. And also, I don't know anyone who wears gold shoes. So I think it's the olden days because of the gold shoes and because, oh, there's that castle too. Like, I don't know anyone who lives in that castle either.
Yeah, that's
Except for
perfect.
Princess Kate, because I want to be like her.
Yeah, so usually in these fairy tales, it's taking place in the past, and looking at the pictures, like you said, can help you figure that out. The castle, even the wallpaper, just the little details.
And that also goes along with once upon a time. We usually see in fairy tales and books that it says once upon a time. So in this, the pictures that you said look like the olden days connect to once upon a time, and that shows us that it's in the past. So great job. Does anyone have any questions before we move on? No? Okay. So I'm gonna erase this and say, can you just state the directions?
Okay, so now we want you guys to try it on your own. We're gonna put you guys in 4 groups, so about 3 to a group. Each group will get a text of Rapunzel that we've been working on, so you guys are all familiar with Rapunzel. And like throughout the week, we've used Rapunzel to figure out our who's, our what, our where, and our why. We're gonna use it to figure out our when. So we're gonna hand out, first we need to put you guys in groups. So how about we have you 4 work together, you 4 work together in the back, and then you 3 and you 3. Does that work? Okay,
And
so
as we're reading our directions on the board, you can follow them. Remember, we want to circle do we remember if we're circling the time period or the time of day?
Time period.
We're circling the time period, great, and we're underlining the
Time of day.
Okay,
Thanks.
perfect.
So you guys can use your red marker
Okay.
to circle the time period and green marker to underline the time of day. That's how we're supposed to
Once upon a
Okay, we'll be
time.
walking around with you guys
To
to tell.
circle.
And also pick a scribe in your group, so you can have one person who's going to be underlining.
Oh, you already see one?
Yeah.
Who's circling?
Once upon a time, a witch stole a child for convent. The child uses people grew into beautiful.
That was really fast.
The witch was afraid that the one would take her and those who are the ones in the tower.
No.
Every day, every day, some witch went to give his child some sort of something from him down below.
Yeah.
The wrong child was down in the witch's circle the
Wait,
At
at
first,
first or something with the same, with the same kind
maybe.
After that, you like to read the Rapunzel every day, or long before.
Yeah, I don't think that hurts. Because it's not like saying this for the time, it's just like it's a little bit.
What night? Like each other's birthday.
Which is which color again?
Was waiting for the.
It's kinda up to you guys, but we've been using red for time period and green for time of day.
we just wanna make sure we circle the time period and underline the time of day.
So we're able to like differentiate.
Which choices should we bury in selfish fashion? Kind of selfish.
Okay, finish up in the next 2 minutes, guys. It's okay if you don't finish.
I really like you did
Never?
We have a question.
Absolutely wrong days.
What is every day?
Depends for Rapunzel and Charles and call that Julian to him and when he's
Let's look at our
one of your
iPad.
phones and
It's every day.
Rapunzel and Charles and their
Yeah, it's not
So
like
if we
we're
use that every day, it's also a good action. Especially when we get to talk about that, it would probably be time period, but also if we're doing it at the same time, every night, we might be able to use it for both.
Remember she just left her out there? You told me. How did she get food? Oh, but one night is good.
For the hotel rooms, just someone up to sleep on the couch, like really. All of our rooms are beautiful.
Okay, are we ready to go over it? Let's touch our nose if we're ready to give some examples. Kira, are you ready?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so, does anyone want to give me any example? You can use the time period or the time of day. Just remember to say what page it's on, so that everyone can flip to it.
Let's start from the top. So does anyone come across on the third page an example?
We found once upon a time, and we circled it because it was a time period.
Because it was a time period, great. And we see that one a lot when we're talking about fairy tales, so that's an easy one.
So
Great
what does
job.
that mean again? What time period are we in?
The past.
Okay, perfect. So now, this is very important, this signal word, because it tells us the whole time period for the entire story.
Does anyone else have another example?
On the same page?
No.
Abby?
We circled every day because,
What page is it on?
oh, sorry, page 5.
Okay, let's go to page 5, everyone. And say it again.
So we circled every day because we thought it was a time period.
Okay, so every day is one where we might be able to see both. See, we can either circle it or underline it, because every day we're thinking might be in the present, since we're doing it the same action every day, but we also might see a specific time of day. I might do it every day in the morning, every day at night, so we might be able to see both for that. Great example. Any other examples?
But it's important to remember that it's always gonna be when we're at recognizing the 5 W's.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What would happen if Rapunzel got lice?
Well, I'm not sure what would happen if Rapunzel had lice. We can finish and see if she gets lice in her story. But we are not gonna talk about that now, that's something we can talk about later, because it doesn't really relate to when. Just, I don't think she gets lice.
I think I have lice.
Okay, we'll talk about that when we go to recess, we can go down to the nurse. Anybody else? Yes?
On page 9, it says one night, which is a time of day.
Time of day, why do we think it's the time of day?
This is that night, so it's specific,
So did you underline it or circle it?
underlined.
That's perfect, and also what else can tell us about this page that it's at night?
The picture.
Perfect,
The picture, right?
really darn.
Okay,
9.
so we're gonna move on to doing our exit ticket. And we'll be working on Rapunzel again, and we're also gonna be tying all of our 5 W's together to make our summary, because remember, our goal is to figure out the main idea. So, as our exit ticket, we're gonna focus on figuring out the when. So let's all quietly, we're gonna do this alone, read the sentence, and you guys are gonna see if you could write the when on your index card.
There could be 2 different occasions, there could be 1, but make sure you label which one signifies time period and which one signifies time of day. And also what time period it is. So past, present, future, and what time of day it is, morning, afternoon, evening, night.
You can raise your hand quietly if you're finished, we'll come in.
Okay, so now that, alright, so now that we have all of your index cards collected, let's get online for art, and we'll tie this all together tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.